Hey guys, here's a cool paint up we're gonna do of Samara from The Ring. If you guys remember, she's that scary broad that comes out of the well and out of people's TVs with the long black hair. This is a new bust made out of resin. There's no color added to the resin, so it's that, that milky white you get when it dries. So we're gonna do this one kind of screen accurate. We're going to stick to that, that greenish blue color she was from being in the well. So I'm going to use the Tim Gore line of paints on this one. The Old Bone White, Vial Green, Code Blue, Expired Blue, I think Vascular Violet, and Deep Bruise Purple. So this one we're going to start with just doing a light coat over the higher parts, not this stuff, but here pre-shading using the Old Bone White. So we'll pre-shade the entire thing with the Old Bone White, and then we'll start getting into some of the darker stuff. This one was the test pull out of the mold, so it was basically the one that used to clean the mold. So I hate throwing these things away, so I figure I'd paint it up, and maybe down the line we'll give her away too. So all right, let's get started. Okay guys, like I said, first step is the bone white reduced. So we're gonna do all the spots around all our pre-shading. So we're basically gonna cover all the skin except these real high spots. We're gonna tie it all together after, but for now we're just gonna hit it with the bone white, and then we'll go from there. Okay, so we got that base coat done of the bone white. That's just to help map out, the shadings. If you could see the neck, there's some real deep wrinkles and stuff. So basically what that helps me do is it gives me like kind of a map of, where the real deep stuff is on this bust. And we're always going to use that as our base color to tie everything in. So when we do all the darker colors, we're always going to go back to a light coating of that. And all these paints are transparent, so for now we'll start with that, and we're going to go on to probably I'm going to say the expired blue, and now we're going to get real detailed and start getting into all the all this neck stuff. Some spots around the mouth and lips, the nose, eyelids. Start like bringing those out, but very gently. We're not going to do it real strong at first. So we're going to just start low lighting all these deeper crevices around here. So all right, we'll do that now. Guys, I killed the backlight on this so you could see it a little better. I didn't realize how it looked on film, but so again, this is what we're at right now. We just put a light coat of a very transparent white on there. I concentrated a little bit more in the face, a little bit more in the neck, but we're going to tie all that together in a little while. So I'm mixing the expired blue right now. That's going to be our next color. We'll show you, I guess what we'll do is we're going to start do our pre low lights here. So the expired blue is going to go into all the deeper shadow spots along the neck, the ears, the scars of the face, around the nose, the eyelids, lips, anywhere there's a deeper spot on here is going to get a little bit of that expired blue. And then we're going to build the darker colors on top of it. So we'll do that now. Okay guys, so that layer's done. My next step, I'm going to do a dark blue. I think it's called code blue. And we're basically going to do the same things. We're going to go back over the same areas we used the light blue on, just to darken it a little bit. So if you see what that last step did, we basically just started to accentuate the deep spots, all the wrinkles on the necks, around the eyes, nose, lips, some stuff on the forehead, the marks on the cheek and forehead around the ears. So the dark blue now, the code blue, I think it's, let me see, yeah, code blue. You can see how much darker it is. We're going to pretty much do the same areas and really darken them. And then we're going to go into the greens from there, and then maybe some purples to finish her off. But if you remember, she's in a well, so she's very white. She's got that pale whitish color to her, with like the dark greens, I guess, whatever would happen to you if you were in a well. So I'm looking at the pictures from the screenshots, and I see a lot of blues in it. So that's why I'm sticking to the blue shades for this one. And if we don't like it, we can always paint another one and try it with, a little, different shades of green. But for this one, I'm going to stick to all the different shades of blues and purples. And we'll see what we get at the end. All right, so like I said, now it's code blue time. Okay guys, so I turned the lights off just so you can see it a little better without any glare. You can see the blues that we did so far are starting to accent all the deep spots. I was just looking at a screenshot from the movie, and I think I'm gonna do away with the purples I originally was thinking about, and I'm gonna stick to some of the darker browns and a little bit of green in there. I think next I'm going to use the vial green, and maybe do just the deepest of spots. Not everything where the blue is, but just the real deep spots in the neck, around the eyes, the nose. And when I say the neck, I'm talking neck mainly just like in these areas, nothing out here. Separating the lips, all the accenting around the nose and the eyes, you start to get this a little bit darker, because of course we're going to finish with black is always the my end color. I always do that last and just outline. So like I said, we're going to go with the vial green next, only the deep spots. And then we're going to stick to mostly the darker browns. I think there's our, what is it called? Disease number and decay. If you guys need to see what these colors look like, I'll post it here. But you can also go online and get the color sheet, so it shows you what the colors look like, which is very helpful. I've been using them a long time, so I know. But in the beginning, I must have used that color sheet for months, trying to figure out what's what color is what. So I like the way it's going so far. I think with the black hair, which I have next to me, we'll put it on at the end so we'll really see. and the eyes that I'm going to make for this. I watched the movie again. I think I'm going to go with eyes that were from the well scene when she's climbing up and they're that ice blue. I kind of like those the best. So we'll make a video and we'll do those eyes together. We'll make a video on how to make your own eyes, but I like it the way it's going so far. So next, like I said, we'll do Vile Green now. Okay guys, so you saw that I only used the slightest bit of green, mainly in the real dark, deep spots. We're going to use some green towards the end because she has a greenish hue, like it's like a greenish blue, so we're going to mix a color, but that was just for the real deep spots before we cover it with, our browns now. A lot of that will just blend away, but it would needed to be, you'll see why with the shadowing and whatnot. So it was just the smallest amount, and now we're gonna go with their decay, which is, it's kind of like an umber, a brown, with I guess, I don't know how to describe it. It probably has like a little bit of a hint of gray to it. So that we're going to use now and do kind of the same thing, basically almost go over everything we just did in green. So a lot of the spots on the neck, we're going to do a lot around the eyes. The last one we barely did anything with green around the eyes, but this decay is we're going to start darkening all the the eyelids, a lot of the wounds, the stuff around her nose, and highlight some of the her brows and pieces of her ears and whatnot. So and remember, I think her hair is going to be from like here back, so again, we don't have to touch really anything in the back of the head. There's no reason to waste materials or time. So all right, so let's do the decay now and really accent a lot, the lips and eyes, the ears, and the neck. Okay guys, so this next step, what I'm going to do is I'm going to use some burnt umber, or I guess they call it diseased umber. I'm going to use a rag and wipe it into some of these, the wrinkles and stuff. I want to accent these wrinkles a little more. So I'm going to use a rag and put it on real heavy and then wipe it off, hoping, leaving a lot of the darker paint in the wrinkles and pores. Don't worry if it browns the white that we did, because if we need to, at the end we can always hit it with a light coat of the bone white that we used in the beginning. That'll help tie it all up together. So that's what I'm going to do right now. I'm going to take a rag. I don't like to use paper towels. I like to use some kind of a rag and do it. And I'll probably do some of the neck too. It depends how it looks, but for now I'm going to concentrate just on the face. If you look at the movie stills, there's a lot of dark here and like around in this, the cheeks and forehead. So after we do this step, we'll see, what part of it do we have to airbrush. Okay, let's get started. Okay, guys, so I like the way that came out. You know, it's messy and it's a pain in the ass, but I like the way all the wrinkles now show and some of the pores show. And it's dirtying the face a little bit, just like the screenshot. At the end, we can always go back and highlight with, you know, the bone white, actually tinted with like a. If you see the movie, she's kind of like a greenish blue, I guess, from being in the well. So we can always do, like, you know, the tips of the nose and, you know, some of the eyebrows and forehead parts, chin, things like that. So right now I kind of like that brown. It you know, it was too white before, so now it's toned it down quite a bit. Next step I'm going to do is we're going to start doing some dark around the eyes. Again, you know, a little darker in the crevices of the nose, and let me see where else. Probably on the neck, a lot of spots, but right now I like the blotchy face because she had, you know, that muddy blotchiness all over her. And we could clean that up, of course. You know, the hair is going to cover most of this anyway, probably to here. So she had it mostly in her cheeks, on her chin, and, you know, the forehead, you know, in here and stuff. So so we'll use another dark color. I have to see what I got. It's going to be definitely a dark brown, so I would say whatever dark brown you have, let's use that, and we'll start, you know, going around the eyes and the nose, lips, and then we'll do some highlighting with the or outlining with the black. We may even take a brush to maybe the wounds, do the wounds with a brush or something to make it a little easier. But we'll see. Right now we're going to do another dark brown. All right, guys, you know, I was looking at the screenshot, and I was going to start doing some browns, but I think I'm gonna start using darker blues and try to keep it in that blue-green hue like the screenshot has. So the last one we used the lighter blue. This time I'm going to use, I guess, their code blue, which is a pretty dark blue. Do the eyes, you know, some of the wrinkles on the nose, around in the nostrils, same spots. And on the neck, what I'd like to do is probably start doing, you know, just the deep spots on both sides. Not lines across, just, you know, accenting these really deep, you know, points on it. You know, the same with, I guess, I'm going to concentrate along these, you know, and then the nostrils, around the eyes, the wrinkles, you know, any crease and fold around the nose and the lips. From there, we'll see how that looks, and we might go into a real dark green, or might start using shades of, you know, black, like tinted black shades. But that brown, I like the way it gives it that dirty look, just like on the, you know, in the movie. You can see it on some of the spots, you know, the brown still around here. I mean, in the movie stills, it's real prominent on the chin and the cheeks and stuff. But we'll see once we do the darker colors and put the hair on. We'll see what else we need to do. But for now, let's get the dark blue, or, you know, whether you use code blue or any dark blue, and we'll do all the deep spots and see what we get. All right, guys, so now that blue's done, you can see it accented all those really deep spots. If you look at the screen grab, and again, The Ring was one of those movies where it's like Freddy versus Jason. You hardly see what she looks like. I think you only see her at the very end for that 1 second. So there's only one real screen grab to use when it comes to color and stuff. So you got to kind of be creative and think about, you know, what a monster would look like in a well. you know, gray, that greenish blue coloring. So I like the way the blue is now. So I think it's time that we do a little bit of a green to tone it down, and start getting that green hue that she had, that bluish green hue. It came out, I was going to do another blue, but I don't think we need to. It's dark enough that when we do the green over it now, it'll start getting that green blue coloring that she has. And then after that, we'll start seeing about maybe really defining the eyes and the deepest parts. That picture shows almost like a dark, so it's like a black, but we'll tint it we'll either go with a green tint or maybe even a brown tint. I gotta just look at the picture a little bit better. And do the same thing. We'll get into the deepest parts of the neck, you know, around the eyes, I believe around the nose and the wrinkles of the nose, and her lips. And we'll see how that turns out. And I know a lot of, you know, my students, a lot of guys are scared to use black because it's so strong. You know, with an airbrush, you can control it. You can control how heavy you put that paint on, how many times you go over it. I mean, you can do it so faintly that you barely see it, or you could put it on where it looks like, you know, you took a black marker and did it. So if you're not comfortable with the black, practice on some paper, you know, spray. Even if you have to set your airbrush to only spray a tiny amount, or turn the air down a little bit, whatever you need to do to feel comfortable using black. And the other thing is too, I wanted to bring up, you know, when I do my paint ups and my busts, I have probably 15 or 20 paint stations that have, you know, professional holders and stands. And I teach this to my students all the time. You know, being an artist, you're creative. You have a creative mind, you know, and the ability to turn something, you know, nothing into something, and make it look beautiful, whether it's wood or, you know, sculpture or whatever you do. So you can also be creative when it comes to making a stand. You know, if you look at this one, this bust is kind of an odd shape, so none of my stands would really work unless I put attachments on it and stuff, and I didn't feel like doing that. So I simply, and you probably saw in my other videos, I use a wine bottle. I used a big, you know, wine bottle. Let's see this, if I can take it off. There you go. There you go. Wine bottle on top of a tequila box. Which one? What do you call it? Patron? Because of the way this is designed with the front chest, it worked perfectly, you know, being held on a wine bottle and dangling off a tequila bottle. So you don't need to spend, you know, $75, $100, $150 to get a professional stand to hold your artwork. Yeah, I do have them because I'm an artist for a living. But I also do things like this all the time. Some of my other videos you'll see, God, I think I use wine bottles a lot. So use anything. Just be creative, figure it out, whatever works for you. This bust, the way I set it up like that, because the base for it is an actual well, and we'll get to that in a little bit. I'll show you, we're going to do the paint up on the well too. So she's coming out of the sculpted base well, which is probably about the same size as that turntable there. The diameter of it. It's cast in resin, so it's got to be painted too. And then of course we got to put her clothes on, her little dress that goes on, and then use some black and get it all dirty like the movie. But once we mount her to the base, we'll be able to see how long the hair is going to be. Right now the hair it's got to be close to 3 feet, so we know we got to cut off at least a foot of that hair. So we'll give her a haircut, and that's a good way too to keep the hair handy. and keep putting it on to see how you like it. Some people might like it like this. Other people might want to see more green. Somebody might want to see it purple, even if that's not what the movie shows. But I always tell people, do what you like. You don't have to always be screen accurate. I don't go screen accurate all the time. I do what I like. And if something looks good to me, I'm done. It doesn't have to have, the orange like the screenshot did. And a lot of guys are nuts about that. A lot of collectors want screen accuracy. But I tell my students, just do what you like. If you like it like this, stop. Put the hair on and display it. I like to put the eyes in at least, because that helps show me if I want to do anything more or not. Just looking at this now, am I pleased with it? Absolutely. But I want to see more greenish in it, only because like in the movie, when you see her arms or legs and even that quick shot of her face, she's in a well for all those years and she's got that greenish blue, dead skin. So I put the hair on this last night just to get an idea, and I thought it looked awesome, but I definitely want to see more green in it. As an artist, that's what I want to see. You can do whatever you want. You can leave it this way. You could have stopped 2 steps ago. But don't be afraid to use colors. Don't be afraid to paint it your way. Black is very intimidating. So do what you're comfortable. If you're not comfortable with black, I tell my students, practice. Screw around on a piece of paper or whatever you have. Paint little designs on cups or whatever until you're comfortable with the different shades of black. Because anybody knows that using airbrush, you can put it on real dark or it can go on real light, super transparent where you barely notice it. I've been using an airbrush for years and years, over 20 years, so I'm pretty confident when I do make mistakes, absolutely. I screw up all the time. You guys just don't see things because it's not on camera, but I have, one day I'll slap together a video of screw-ups and beep out all the cursing, and I kicked a Jason Voorhees head one time. It aggravated me so much, I took it outside like a soccer goalie and I punted it probably 60 yards and down my driveway. That's how mad I got at it. As a matter of fact, I can actually get that video off my security system, so that'd be pretty cool to show you guys. But even guys that are professionals make mistakes, but just do what you like. If you like it like this, stop. If you want to add different colors, go ahead. I'm gonna go with this one. We're gonna do a little bit of green now on top of this blue. The blue's really cool. I want to do the green to tone it down a tiny bit, and I think once we do the black around the eyes and nose and the lips, we might just at the end do a little bit of highlighting with a white, that bone white that we used in the beginning, just with the tiniest hint of a green hue. And we'll do all the high, the concentrations here and up here, like on the screenshot, the cheeks, both parts of the cheeks, and then do a mist over the entire thing to tie it all together, and I think it'll be killer. So but next up we'll do green. I think it's called vial green, or you can use any darker, like forest green, some of the darker greens, whatever you have, and we'll do that now. Okay guys, so if you see what that green layer did, is it toned that blue down quite a bit. That's what we were going for. So the blue was like a base. These paints are all transparent, so you still see blue, but the green, toned it down a lot, is exactly what I wanted. Because now we're going to start following up with the real dark stuff around the eyes, nose, the same as we've been doing, the lips. Once we do all the dark stuff, we'll try and see, maybe we'll blotch in some spots on the cheeks and forehead like in the movie still. If not, maybe it'll look good the way it is. I don't know just yet. But so now I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to mix a really, really dark green instead of going to right to black. I may add a tiny bit of black to this green. I want to see what I get first. So I'm probably going to go with something very dark, like a forest green or hunter green, one of the real dark greens, and add the tiniest bit of black to really darken it up. And when I do get that color, again, it's going to be the same thing. We're going to go into the real deep stuff. We're going to start darkening this part here. In the movie, if you saw that still, it's really dark in the center part of the neck. You can see the wrinkles and stuff, but it's pretty dark. So we'll start lightly putting some layers on that, going back to all the deepest spots on it, and then around the eyes, of course, the eyelids, the wrinkles on the nose, the lips. May touch the marks on the head, I don't know yet, and then accent some parts on the ears. But other than that, we'll wait for the just pure black to see what happens here. So mix up a nice dark green, add a tiny bit of black to it, and then we'll do this next step. Okay, so now that that shadow color green is out of the way, I think one of the last things we want to do is do our black. Mainly for all the other times, like we did all the nose, the eyes, we're going to do the lips, accent some of the wrinkles. Mainly in the center of the throat, because remember when she has her dress on, like probably all this will be covered. So again, like I said before, black can be intimidating. So I suggest if you don't use black or very rarely use it, practice a little bit. Spray on paper or whatever you have laying around and get used to feathering and how dark it could be. You can make it real light, which probably is what I'm going to do. I'll do it in light stages, because that's one of those colors that if you put too much on, you can't reverse it. So I would say make sure it's transparent too. I have several blacks. I'm going to use the Cretex. I think it's Detail Smoke Black it's called. I always like that one. It's very transparent. With a bunch of layers, it can get real dark, or you can make it real light if you dilute it a lot. So that's what we're going to do now. And again, we'll do all the deepest of spots, and the eyes, around the nose, the lips, the mouth, and then we'll see how it looks. The screen grab shows splotches on both cheeks, forehead, and the chin. But once we finish the black mainly around the eyes, we'll see, we'll get the hair and see how it looks. We might not even have to go that far and go more on the cheeks, because I think you only see really, the central part of the face through the hair. And that's exactly what I want to do. I want to do the hair like the movie still, because I think that's so cool how it's just her nose, parts of her eye, and that's all you see. It makes it that much creepier. So that's what I'm going to shoot for. You guys can do whatever you want. So mix up a black, and I guess practice if you need to. If not, that's our next step. So we'll do that now. Okay guys, I wanted to show you real quick. I just threw the wig on for a second just to give you an idea of, you know, what she's gonna look like. Of course, the wig has to be styled, it has to look wet and mousse and everything, but I just wanted you guys to see pretty much the importance of black. For the guys who you know, never use it or scared to use it. I mean, black is so important in getting shadows and you know, accentuating like low lights. You know, you still up close, you still see your blues. You know, all the colors we did. A lot of people say, like, you know, why would you use blue, you know, 3 shades of blue and 2 shades of green and everything if you're going to just cover it with black? You know what I tell students, if you're learning your primary colors and secondary colors, or you're not familiar with the color wheel, experiment. See what happens if you take a piece of white paper and spray just black on it, and then spray, and I'm not talking about with a paintbrush, with an airbrush, you know, and then do blue and then green over that and so on and so forth, and you'll see the difference in shades. You know, a lot of artists know that, but for guys who are just learning, you know, try it for yourself and you'll see what I mean, how you still see the blues, you still see the greens. The black is just, you know, it's almost like it's a reverse highlight, if you will, but you're highlighting the low lights. A lot of artists will do pre-shading with it or something. I always stuck to light to dark. You know, some guys will do dark and then, you know, around that do light. But I've always done my lightest colors first and then, you know, end with the dark. But anyway, this, I was going to do this just as a paint up for this bust, but I think we'll keep going. I'm going to make the eyes for it now. I'm going to do the crystal blue eyes, those ice blue eyes she had when she was in the well. I like that more than just a regular blue eye. So I have videos, you know, on how to make your own eyes, and, you know, from molding them to doing the resins over them and painting the iris, the pupil by hand, which to me, I think that's the absolute best way to do it. I know people print, you know, the pupils and irises out on a computer and then just stick them on a, you know, a half sphere and then pour clear over it, which is good too, but I don't like it. I think you can, you know, if you can paint, or you can absolutely paint an eye, and then you can customize them any colors you want, or you could just go online and buy them. They're not very expensive. It's a few dollars to buy a set of half sphere, you know, eyes. I just like making my own. I have for many years, and that's what I'm going to do. So while I work on that, I'm going to get some, I guess, mousse and hairspray ready so we can style the hair together, and we'll work on the base. The base is pretty cool. When this thing's on the base, you'll guys see how cool it is. A stone well. We'll paint that up quickly too. Why not? We'll do this whole bust start to finish. So right now, like I said, that's our black. I can't do it with one hand, but you can see what I mean about how the, oh shit, oh boy, there she goes. All right, well that made it easy for us. Let me get my wine bottle. If you guys are gonna do the wine bottle trick, I didn't do it because I was in a hurry to finish this. I would suggest gluing the bottle to whatever base you use. Sometimes you don't even need to use a box. If it's just a regular bust, you can glue it right to, you know, your turntable. If you don't have a turntable, those are very easy to make. You just get a piece of wood and cut it out. You know, cut a circular piece of wood out, and at, I think, Home Depot or one of the hardware stores, you can buy a Lazy Susan. I think it's called a Lazy Susan, whatever. And you just stick it to the, screw it to the bottom, and it'll spin. So, and then you'll avoid things like that. But anyway, so yeah, you could see the black, how important it is. Now, the last thing I'm going to do to this at the very end. Once I put the eyes in, some guys put the eyes in right away and then mask, cover them up. I never put them in till the end. I know what color I want to use. I paint, and I can care less what I get on this. And then when I cut that out, the eyes go right in, and I don't have to worry about doing any touch up. So of course you can do it any way you want. That's just how I do it. But once I put the eyes in, we're gonna go back and do some highlighting, but very, very, very minimal. Like I said to you guys in the beginning, it's gonna mainly be just the forehead, nose, some spots on the cheeks, and then I'm gonna experiment with that blotchy, the blotchiness that was on in the movie screen. She had like blotches of dark all over her face. So I don't know. We'll see. Right now it looks pretty cool. So once the eyes are in, we'll go from there and see if we need to do any more touching up with highlights or maybe darkening those spots on her face. But so next up will be the eyes. All right, guys. So I got the eyes in. Like I said, they were going to be this, ice blue when she came out of the well. Let me see if I can get a better. We can turn the light on somehow here. Oh, yeah, geez. I'll show it to you after. But I did all the, the veins, and I think that color is so cool on this piece. I also mounted her to the base and put a shirt on her. So the base is a resin, stone well. We got to get it all painted up. I was screwing around with, a little blue and brown before. Just to see what it will look like. But and the shirt I got at the flea market, 50 cents. I found some old ladies, dress, and just cut it up, and it works perfectly for this. So I added a little, black around here and dirtied it up a bit. But so there's the eyes. I think it looks awesome. And I wanted to tell you guys something too. When I do busts and I use a wig, a full wig, a lot of them come on this netting. It's like a head cap, and they weave or sew the hair onto it to make these wigs. So what I do is I always paint the scalp of the head. Whatever color I'm gonna, what the hair is, I always paint the scalp the same color. So once that wig is on, you don't see any light colors coming through. It doesn't have to be neat. As you see, I just filled up a little black into the airbrush and just went to town on it. But I always do that, and you'll see when you do your own work and you put a wig on. Sometimes if you're doing a regular skin tone or anything light, when you use dark hair, browns, blacks, even some blondes, it'll show. And that's, like I said, only for wigs. I don't do that when I, punch hair in silicone or anything, but just for that. But yeah, it looks pretty cool. I think that the well is a really cool part of this, and it was easy to get this. You can use any type of dress you want or any type of white shirt. Being that this is just a test bust, it's not a big deal, and I stuck that in there. Eventually, I'll on the other ones I'll glue these, and but that's it. So we'll do that. Next, we'll stick the hair on and see. I'm starting to, once I put the eyes in, I'm starting to really like the face the way it is. So I don't know if I want to maybe put those blotches on there. But I'll know once I put the hair on if I want to do any of the highlighting that we talked about throughout the video. Like I said, I kind of really liking this the way it is, and we'll see once the hair's on. I won't glue the hair on. I'll put the wig on, and we'll see what it looks like, and then we'll go from there. But yeah, that's it. And here's the base, and we'll start figuring out the colors. I think the well in the movie was like limestone. So usually limestone is like a grayish color, and then it gets really dark and mossy in between everything. So that's what we're gonna try to stick with. We'll get a lot of like dark green and even black in there, and then we'll see how it looks and and we'll take it from there, because I think it'll look pretty cool once it's done. And we may even add some leaves and some moss and vines to this. But all right, let's put the wig on and see what we got. You know what, guys? I just decided, let's do the base first, and then we'll do the hair. So I'm going to start out with a light blue and do most of the rock. You don't have to paint the entire thing blue. Try to do, you know, the edging and some parts in the middle of each rock. And then we're going to follow that up with a darker blue. And then we'll get in there and start doing our blacks and greens. Because we want this to look like a limestone. And then we'll do some moss and grass and stuff on it. So, all right, let's do that. All right, so now we did the light blue first. We're gonna do a dark blue now, and we're gonna try to hit all the higher spots. I'm sorry, we're gonna use the dark blue and do the lower spots to start making shadow on the stones. So I don't know which blue I'm gonna use. I'm gonna just try to find a dark blue and do the shadow stuff now. I don't know. We'll figure it out. Something dark, much darker than the color we just used. And then we'll do green, you know, dark greens and brown and good old black. Okay, guys, so now we have those two blues done, and I have a little bit left in the airbrush, so I'm just going to add a dark green to that blue, and we're going to start doing in between the rocks. So next up is green. All right, guys, for some reason the black didn't record, but it's the same thing we did with everything else. Just do black in all the deep cracks. And I added some moss to some of the cracks just to give it a little, you know, spruce her up a little bit. So now what we're going to do, we're going to add the hair. So let me see here. I'm not going to glue it on just yet. I'm going to put it on and maybe style it first, and then we'll see about, you know, once you glue it, it's almost impossible to take off without ruining the mask. So I mean the hair. So we'll stick it on and see what we got. Okay, guys, so I got the hair on, and I kind of like the way she looks. So I think I'm going to call this one done. This wig was actually a one-piece. I got it fairly cheap. I want to say it was maybe 20 bucks. So it was pretty easy to style with some gel, and I mean, you can go crazy with these things. But I like the way it looks. I love the facial expression, and the color of the eyes, that ice blue eye. It looks so cool on this face. I may do some more colors or touch-ups on the base. I add some of that, the moss in there and dirtied her dress a little bit, but I think right now I like it the way it is. And like I said in some of my other videos, sometimes I, stare at these things for a week or two and decide maybe I want to change something or touch something up. If anything, I think I'll probably do the base. Maybe I'll add some colors and I don't know. We'll see what happens. And if I do anything, I'm sure I'll video it. But I think I have 3 of these are going to be available for sale. So if you're interested in one, the contact info will be at the end of this video. But only 3. It's a very limited thing. So yeah, I hope you guys liked it. I hope you learned something. If you need, if you have any questions or anything, feel free to ask. I think the next 2, what I'm gonna do is mix a phosphorant, this new phosphorant liquid I got, into the resin. So if you use a black light, it'll glow white. It'll be pretty cool. So, picture that face glowing white under a black light. I think that would be phenomenal. So, maybe I'll tape it so you guys can see it. But but yeah, so check back. I got some cool videos coming up on a Chucky build. And I think there's some other stuff coming too, but a lot's is gonna be uploaded in the next 2 weeks. So check back often, and if you have any questions, just ask. I'll do the best I can to answer them for you. So thanks again for watching. We'll see you again.